Have you ever wondered why certain people seem to carry a quiet gravity, a pull that gathers opportunities, faces, and events into their orbit? It is not always because they speak the loudest or push the hardest. Often it is something unseen, something felt before a word is spoken. A vibration that precedes action, a magnetic field generated not by machines, but by the living mind. As Joseph Murphy once taught, the mind itself functions as a magnet, and the charge it carries is shaped by the hidden dialogue within. We begin at this threshold where thought and vibration intermingle, and where life subtly arranges itself around the frequency of one's inner climate. When the mind is restless, scattered, and heavy, it projects confusion into the field around it. When it is steady, luminous, and assured, the same field becomes ordered, and events start aligning as though guided by invisible hands. You have seen this in others. The individual who walks into a room and shifts its atmosphere, who draws attention without effort, who seems to meet the right person at the right time. The essence of their magnetism lies not in chance, but in the unseen current of inner vibration. Think of the mind as a great tuning fork. Each thought strikes it, setting up waves that reverberate outward. A note of fear sends out a discordant hum, and soon enough people and circumstances appear that echo the fear. A note of confidence or gratitude, however, sends out a purer sound, and matching conditions rise to meet it. This is not mystical escape. It is the ordinary miracle of resonance. Just as sound waves can shatter glass or harmonize instruments, thought and feeling combine into vibrations that structure the unseen field in which your life unfolds. Yet notice, the magnet does not choose only once. It draws continuously. Every passing thought, every emotion entertained strengthens or weakens the current. You may walk through your day believing you are neutral, untouched, but beneath the surface, your inner tone is already broadcasting. That tone determines what is drawn close and what quietly slips away. In this sense, you are never merely observing life, you are transmitting into it. So the question is not whether you are magnetic. The question is, what are you magnetizing right now? The answer can be traced to the qualities of your thought. When the inner voice mutters doubt, it is as though iron filings scatter, refusing to align. When clarity enters, the filings snap into pattern, and the picture sharpens. Life responds in kind. What appears to be coincidence often carries the fingerprints of vibration. The friend who calls at the perfect moment, the opportunity that surfaces out of nowhere, these are the echoes of inner frequencies, meeting their outer reflection. Murphy urged his students to take this law seriously, because to treat the mind as idle is to misuse the magnet unconsciously. And how many live this way, unaware that their habitual tone has become their silent architect? If worry dominates, worry attracts. If resentment is nursed, resentment returns in the faces of others. But when thought is disciplined, when attention is guided toward harmony, the magnet resets. The field clears, and the invisible current draws events of another order. This is where personal accountability begins. Not in controlling every outer circumstance, but in recognizing the inner switchboard. It is tempting to believe attraction lies outside luck, fate, destiny. Yet the field is fed from within. Shift the current there and watch the outer circuit rearrange. It does not always happen instantly, but the pattern bends, just as surely as metal bends toward the pull of a magnet. And here a paradox presents itself. The quieter the vibration, the stronger its pull. Frenzied grasping weakens the current. Calm assurance strengthens it. A magnet never strains to attract, it simply holds its nature, and the filings rush to meet it. In the same way, the most magnetic lives are often lived with a steady confidence, a quiet inner conviction that needs no broadcast. The vibration speaks for itself. As we move forward, hold this image, your mind as a tuning fork. sending waves into the field of life. The tone you choose becomes the rhythm you live. And if thought is the fork, what shapes its note? That leads us into the deeper question of belief, the silent sculptor of frequency, the architect of the field you carry. If thought is the fork that sets the first vibration, belief is the hand that holds it steady. Passing ideas may flicker like sparks, but the convictions you carry, those deeply rooted patterns of assumption, create the lasting frequency of your life. You may whisper 1,000 affirmations, but if beneath them lies the quiet conviction that you are unworthy, the signal is fractured. The mind does not project from the surface alone. It radiates from the bedrock of belief. Consider how the body responds to a held thought. Tell yourself you are weak, and tension creeps into your muscles. Convince yourself of strength, and your stance unconsciously shifts. Belief imprints itself not only on the mind, but also on the flesh. This imprint becomes the very texture of vibration, a pattern that ripples outward and shapes encounters before they begin. A person who believes they will be ignored unconsciously lowers their gaze, closes their posture, and indeed goes unnoticed. Another, believing they belong, carries themselves with openness and is welcomed without question. Both live in the same world, yet each inhabits a different field, drawn by the silent magnet of belief. Joseph Murphy taught that belief is the soil in which every seed of thought must root. If the soil is fertile with confidence, ideas flourish into results. If it is barren with doubt, even the most brilliant thought withers. That is why some attempt to visualize success, yet repeatedly face failure. They plant seeds in soil that rejects them. The law of vibration is not tricked by surface optimism. It reads the depth of conviction. You may recall moments when you expected rejection, and rejection came swiftly, or when you anticipated favor, and favor seemed to meet you halfway. This is not mere coincidence, but the echo of belief shaping the quality of your field. People sense it. Circumstances bend to it. Life arranges itself around it. And when you begin to question those hidden assumptions, you start to notice just how magnetic they have been all along. But belief is not immovable stone. It is more like clay, hardened only by habit. What was once molded by family voices, cultural narratives, or past disappointments can be reshaped. Every time you challenge a limiting assumption, you soften the clay, and a new impression may be set. This is the true work of inner transformation, to identify the silent patterns of thought that have governed your vibration, and to decide whether they still serve. Imagine for a moment two magnets of equal size. One has been demagnetized through misuse, its particles scattered, its pull weak. The other is aligned, its particles ordered, and its field reaches far. Belief functions in the same way. A mind fractured by self-doubt loses its coherence, and its vibration dissipates. A mind unified by conviction sends out a powerful, steady current that life cannot ignore. It is tempting to blame circumstances, to say, "I was unlucky," or "life has turned against me." Yet these statements are themselves beliefs, shaping tomorrow even as they explain today. To shift the vibration, you must first shift the underlying story. What do you assume about yourself, about others, about the world? Each answer writes the code of your frequency. This is not an invitation to blind optimism. It is an invitation to clarity. A belief does not have to be loud to be strong. It has only to be consistent. The quiet assurance that you are guided, capable, and connected is enough to reorganize the particles of your inner field. With time, the outer world bends to that consistency. And so the question lingers: if belief holds the tuning fork, what gives it volume? What amplifies the vibration so that the field hums with undeniable strength? That is where the force of emotion enters, intensifying the current and sending the magnetism of thought into living motion. If belief sets the note, emotion is the resonant chamber that turns a faint sound into a thunderous vibration. Thought alone may sketch the outline, but feeling breathes life into it, fills it with color, and sends it pulsing into the world. You know this in your own experience. A passing idea that stirs no emotion drifts away like smoke, but an idea married to feeling becomes unforgettable, urgent, and magnetic. Emotion is not merely an accessory to thought, it is its amplifier. Picture a violin string drawn gently, it hums softly, barely audible. Now draw the bow with passion, and the same string fills the hall with resonance. In the same way, belief without feeling is like a muted note. When you believe and feel with intensity, the vibration deepens, expands, and carries outward with irresistible force. Think of those moments when joy surged through you so strongly that it seemed the world responded instantly. Doors opened, people smiled, events aligned with uncanny timing. Or on the opposite side, when fear consumed you and setbacks multiplied, almost as if summoned by dread itself. These are not accidents, they are the magnet at work, tuned and powered by emotion. Murphy often pointed out that the subconscious does not respond to logic alone, it responds to the emotional tone carried within a thought. You might repeat to yourself, "I am confident," but if beneath the words lies a current of anxiety, the vibration transmitted is not confidence, but fear. The subconscious hears the music, not the lyrics. It vibrates to the tune of your feeling, not the hollow rhythm of your words. This is why gratitude is so transformative. Gratitude is more than polite thanks. It is an emotional state that radiates harmony. When truly felt, it saturates thought with warmth, and the vibration it sends outward carries the quality of increase, drawing more into its orbit. Likewise, resentment, though quiet at times, poisons the note of belief, amplifying discord until it reverberates through events and relationships. Here lies the challenge. Many attempt to control thought while ignoring feeling, yet it is feeling that gives the magnet its charge. You cannot paste a smile over a storm of bitterness and expect the vibration to sing of joy. The outer form may deceive others for a time, but the field does not lie. The current always reveals the true inner state. So the task is not to suppress emotion, but to refine it. Anger, fear, and envy are signals of misaligned vibration. They reveal the places where belief has turned against itself. When acknowledged, they can be transmuted anger into determination, fear into alertness, envy into inspiration. Each emotion is energy in motion. Its raw power can either distort or magnify the field depending on how it is held. You might ask, how can emotion be guided without forcing it? The answer lies in where you place attention. Focused gratitude, sincere reflection, the practice of dwelling on images of harmony. These shift the emotional current naturally. Over time, the heart learns new rhythms, and those rhythms become the steady song of your vibration. This is why the most magnetic individuals often seem deeply alive. They are not cold intellectuals living only in the mind. They are men and women whose hearts are engaged, whose emotions flow with conviction. Their laughter rings with authenticity, their words carry weight, and even their silence feels charged. The field around them is thick with resonance because thought and emotion are married, belief and feeling joined. And so we see thought shapes the frequency, belief steadies it, and emotion amplifies it into power. But amplification alone is not enough. If the subconscious patterns beneath remain divided or contradictory, the current falters. To magnetize with clarity, one must descend deeper into the hidden realm where those patterns are stored, where alignment or misalignment quietly decides what will be drawn. Beneath the conscious stream of thought, where words form and dissolve, lies a quieter but more enduring realm, the subconscious. This is the chamber where patterns are stored, where impressions left by past experiences, repeated habits, and early conditioning solidify into silent convictions. And it is here, in this hidden depth, that the magnet of the mind is either aligned to attract harmony or fractured to repel it. You may think you are guiding your life only by deliberate choice, but the subconscious field often governs more strongly than the surface will. Why? Because it does not sleep. While the conscious mind grows tired, distracted, or forgetful, the subconscious continues broadcasting its vibration, repeating the signals embedded long ago. It is like a great river flowing beneath the ground, unseen, steady, and immensely powerful. The tone of that river eventually shapes the landscape above. Murphy often insisted that people suffer not from fate but from misprogrammed belief lodged in the subconscious. A child told repeatedly that they are unworthy may grow into an adult who unconsciously sabotages opportunity. The conscious voice may say, "I deserve success," yet the deeper imprint whispers, "I will fail," and the vibration follows the deeper note. The field cannot be fooled. Life responds to the strongest frequency, and that frequency comes from the depth of the subconscious. But here is the hopeful truth. What was planted in the subconscious can be replanted. Just as repetition etched limiting patterns, repetition can carve new ones. Affirmations, when felt deeply and rehearsed consistently, seep down until they rewrite the silent script. Visualization, when infused with emotion, imprints pictures that the subconscious begins to accept as normal. Prayer, meditation, and contemplation all become ways of softening the hardened clay and reshaping it into alignment. Think of the subconscious as the compass of your magnet. Even when you are not aware, it points in a direction, and your vibration pulls accordingly. If the compass is calibrated to fear, the pull is toward avoidance, missed chances, and confirming evidence of limitation. If recalibrated toward faith and confidence, the pull shifts, drawing opportunity, harmony, and encounters that mirror growth. The compass does not argue, it simply points. The task is to set it true. Perhaps you have experienced this, deciding on the surface to pursue a new path, yet feeling inexplicably drawn back into old patterns. You wonder why life seems to cycle, why familiar disappointments return. The answer is not found in circumstance, but in the subconscious magnet still humming the old tune. Until that tune is altered, the field repeats itself, echoing the same refrain. This is why awareness matters. To observe your recurring experiences is to glimpse the music your subconscious is playing. Patterns do not lie. They reveal the beliefs beneath. Instead of condemning them, use them as signals. Each repeated disappointment is a note pointing back to an inner assumption, and every assumption, once seen, can be replaced. But alignment requires more than replacement. It requires consistency. A single burst of affirmation is like striking one chord on the piano. It may sound clear for a moment, but the echo fades. Daily practice engraves the new note until the subconscious hums it without effort. Then, and only then, does the outer field rearrange to match. So the magnet of the mind is not simply what you decide today, but what you have allowed to settle beneath decision, what you have permitted to run quietly in the background. To master attraction is to master that depth, to bring hidden patterns into the light and reshape them deliberately. And here the question arises. What force holds those patterns steady? What power anchors belief and feeling in the subconscious so firmly that the vibration remains constant through storm and silence alike? That force is faith, the magnetic core that stabilizes the entire field. Faith is not blind hope, nor is it a fragile optimism that trembles in the face of doubt. Faith is the magnetic core of your inner field, the unshakable conviction that stabilizes every vibration you send. Without faith, thoughts scatter, emotions surge and collapse, and subconscious patterns wobble. With faith, the entire current coheres into a steady, radiant force that life cannot help but respond to. Consider the image of a compass needle. However strong the winds, however turbulent the sea, the needle points true. Faith serves the same function in the mind. It holds the vibration steady, even when circumstances test it. Many confuse faith with wishing, but the difference is vast. Wishing looks outward, begging conditions to change. Faith looks inward, resting in assurance that the change has already taken root within. Wishing collapses under delay. Faith deepens under trial. Joseph Murphy emphasized again and again that faith is the bridge between thought and manifestation. It is not enough to affirm, "I will succeed." The statement must be carried by faith so firm that the subconscious accepts it as fact. Then the magnet is set, the field is charged, and outer events slowly but surely align. Faith is not about ignoring reality. It is about holding steady the inner conviction until reality bends toward it. You have felt the difference. Think of a moment when you knew something with certainty, even before evidence appeared. Perhaps you were sure a meeting would go well, or that a friend would call, or that a path was meant for you. That certainty created a calm strength, and often events unfolded to match. Contrast that with a moment of doubt, when you wanted something desperately but questioned it at every step. The doubt fractured the field, and the outcome reflected the hesitation. Faith does not mean you never feel fear. It means fear does not overturn the core conviction. Imagine a tree rooted deeply into the earth. Storms may shake its branches, but the trunk holds firm. Faith is that rootedness. It does not eliminate weather, but it prevents the storm from ripping the magnet from its place. When you hold faith in your worth, in your capacity, in the unseen currents guiding your steps, the vibration remains aligned. The world senses this steadiness, and people respond to it with trust, respect, and openness. There is a reason why faith has been honored in every spiritual tradition, not because it is abstract piety, but because it is practical magnetism. Faith shapes the subconscious, amplifies emotion, and steadies thought. It is the force that prevents the field from collapsing under contradiction. Without faith, the magnet wavers, attracting briefly but losing coherence. With faith, the field endures long enough to crystallize into circumstance. But how is faith built? It is not a switch flipped overnight. Faith grows through practice, through repeated alignment between thought, word, and action. Each time you honor your inner conviction despite appearances, faith roots deeper. Each time you choose trust over despair, you reinforce the core. It is like strengthening a muscle. The more it is exercised, the more reliable it becomes. One powerful way to cultivate faith is through memory. Recall past moments when conviction carried you through, when what you feared never came to pass, or when unexpected help arrived just as it was needed. These recollections are not accidents. They are evidence of the field at work. To dwell on them is to remind the subconscious that faith is justified. In this way, memory becomes fuel, and the magnet grows stronger. Another method is repetition with feeling. When you declare a truth with conviction daily, the subconscious accepts it as normal. I am guided. I am capable. I am aligned. These are not empty words when infused with faith. They are currents that reshape the inner compass. Spoken once, they may fade. Spoken with conviction, they engrave. Over time, the engraving becomes so deep that doubt loses its grip. Yet perhaps the greatest teacher of faith is life itself. Circumstances will arise that challenge your conviction, that tempt you to waver. It is in those very moments that faith is forged. To hold steady then, to affirm your inner magnet, even as outer conditions resist, is to demonstrate true mastery. And when the shift finally comes, you know it was faith that carried you through. Think again of the magnet. Its power does not come from strain or striving. It does not clutch at the filings, pleading for them to move. It simply holds its polarity, unwavering. In the same way, faith is not frantic. It is calm, assured, quietly potent. This is why those who carry deep faith exude such magnetism. They do not grasp, they attract. They do not beg, they embody. And here is the paradox. The stronger the faith, the less one needs to prove it outwardly. A person anchored in conviction speaks fewer words, yet carries greater weight. Their vibration communicates trust even in silence. People feel it, opportunities gravitate toward it, and events bend around it. Such individuals may not always be the loudest, but they are often the most influential, for their field speaks louder than their voice. But faith is not only for extraordinary moments, it is for the daily rhythm of life, the faith that today's efforts will bear fruit, that unseen connections are forming, that each step builds toward a larger unfolding. Without this, discouragement eats away at the magnet. With it, each day hums with purpose. Faith transforms routine into resonance. So let us pause at this point. Thought sets the frequency, belief steadies the note, emotion amplifies the current, and the subconscious aligns the depth. But without faith, these remain scattered sparks. With faith, they become a single, radiant magnet drawing life into harmony. Faith is the core, the anchor, the quiet fire that sustains attraction. And if faith anchors the vibration, what directs it? How is the magnet shaped not only in strength, but in direction, so that its pull leads you where you choose to go, rather than where habit alone drifts? That guidance comes from focus and imagination, the disciplined art of aiming the magnet with precision. Focus is the lens that sharpens the beam of the mind, and imagination is the sculptor that gives it form. Together they direct the magnet of your vibration with precision. Without them, faith may hold the core steady, but the current spreads wide, diffused, lacking clarity. With them, the field gathers, channels, and pulls in a chosen direction. Think of sunlight. Spread across the field, it warms gently. Concentrated through a lens, it ignites fire. Focus does the same for the mind. It gathers scattered thoughts into a single stream and sends that stream into the subconscious. When attention is scattered, the magnet wavers, attracting fragments, but never forming coherence. When attention is concentrated, the current intensifies, and events align as though guided by an unseen hand. Murphy often wrote that imagination is the workshop of the mind. To imagine is not childish fantasy. It is the act of rehearsing reality within, so that the subconscious begins to treat it as truth. The magnet cannot distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and lived ones. It only vibrates to the emotional intensity you attach. When you picture success with clarity, feel its reality with conviction, and hold the image steadily, the field aligns. Outer conditions begin reshaping to match the inner rehearsal. But notice the key. The picture must be clear, and the focus must be steady. Many imagine half-heartedly, glancing at their desire as one glances at a passing billboard, then returning to doubt. This is not focus. This is daydream. Focus requires discipline, the willingness to dwell, to linger, to return again and again to the chosen image until it sinks deep. Imagine for a moment a sculptor facing raw stone. Each stroke of the chisel is small, almost trivial, but with patience, form emerges. Imagination works the same way. Each time you return to the inner picture, you chisel away at disbelief, carve detail into the vision, and refine the vibration. Over time, the inner statue stands complete, and the outer world, compelled by resonance, begins echoing its shape. There is rhythm in this process. Too much strain breaks the flow, but gentle persistence engraves the pattern. Focus should not feel like clenched fists. It should feel like steady breathing. Imagination should not feel like escape. It should feel like rehearsal. When the two blend naturally, the subconscious accepts the new design without resistance. You have seen this at work when preparing for a conversation, a performance, or a decision. If you replay failure in your mind, your body tenses, your voice falters, and events often match the rehearsal. If you rehearse calm success, the body relaxes, the tone steadies, and reality follows suit. The field obeys the blueprint you provide. Here lies an important truth. Imagination is not neutral. If left unguided, it often defaults to fear. The mind pictures worst-case scenarios with vivid detail, and the subconscious, obedient as ever, begins projecting them into the field. This is why deliberate focus matters. Without it, imagination serves fear. With it, imagination serves creation. So how can one strengthen this faculty? By daily practice. Choose a quiet moment, breathe steadily, and bring to mind the outcome you seek. Picture it not as distant, but as present. Feel its reality, hear its sounds, see its colors, taste its texture. The richer the sensory detail, the stronger the impression. Stay with it until emotion rises, until gratitude, joy, or calm assurance fills the picture. That feeling charges the image, and the vibration begins broadcasting with clarity. At first, doubt may intrude. Old images may return, tugging attention away. But do not fight them. Simply return to the chosen focus again and again. Each return strengthens the channel. Each repetition carves deeper grooves into the subconscious. Eventually, the new image becomes the default, and the magnet holds steady in that direction. This is why some individuals seem to always get what they picture. It is not luck, it is discipline. They have trained imagination to serve rather than wander. They have learned to hold focus until the inner picture hardens into conviction. Once conviction is reached, the outer world adjusts in ways that appear mysterious to the untrained, but are simply the law of vibration at work. Notice, too, how this faculty influences relationships. When you consistently picture harmony with another person, feel it as real, and hold that vibration, interactions shift. When you habitually rehearse conflict, even unconsciously, the vibration taints encounters. The magnet follows the picture you carry, not the words you speak. Focus and imagination, then, are not luxuries. They are instruments of creation. They give direction to faith, shape to belief, and intensity to emotion. Without them, the magnet pulls in fragments. With them, it gathers coherence. They are the steering wheel of attraction, the means by which the inner field guides the outer journey. And so, having seen how imagination shapes direction, we turn to a subtler question. What does this magnet draw, once tuned and focused? It draws not only opportunities or circumstances, but people, those whose vibrations resonate with your own. The field of attraction extends into every meeting, every connection, every relationship. The magnet of the mind is not solitary, it is relational. The next step is to explore how vibration silently selects the companions, mentors, and allies who enter your life. Every life is interwoven with others, and the magnet of your vibration determines which threads cross your path. People are not drawn randomly. They resonate with the frequency you carry, whether harmonious or discordant. This is why certain individuals seem to appear as if by fate, while others drift away without explanation. The field of the mind is always at work, silently arranging encounters in accordance with its tone. Consider how you have felt an instant connection with someone you had just met. Words were few, yet there was an unmistakable sense of recognition. That recognition was resonance. Their vibration matched something within you, and the magnet pulled swiftly. The opposite is also true. Sometimes a person's presence feels heavy, unsettling, or draining. Without conscious analysis, your inner compass detects dissonance. The mind is both sending and receiving signals, and relationships form or dissolve under their influence. What is striking is how consistent these patterns become. A person carrying unresolved anger will often find themselves surrounded by conflict, meeting others who mirror or provoke the same emotion. Someone radiating calm assurance finds themselves in the company of trust, welcomed into circles of stability. These are not coincidences. They are the natural echo of vibration, meeting vibration. The law of resonance governs both music and human connection. Notice, too, how posture, tone, and presence reveal inner states before words are spoken. A person convinced of their worth does not need to declare it. It radiates in their bearing. Those nearby sense the steadiness and respond with respect or openness. Another, weighed down by self-doubt, may try to mask it, but the field betrays the truth. Others sense the hesitation and react accordingly. Relationships are shaped long before conversation begins. This is why cultivating inner harmony is not only a personal matter, but a relational one. The state you carry influences the quality of those who enter your orbit. If you seek uplifting companions, begin by elevating your own tone. If you long for loyal allies, hold loyalty as your own vibration. The magnet does not lie, it pulls what matches. Some wonder why they repeatedly meet the same type of person, why betrayal, disappointment, or neglect appears in cycle. The answer is rarely in circumstance alone. The subconscious often carries unhealed assumptions, and those assumptions broadcast into the field. Until the vibration shifts, the magnet continues to select similar partners, colleagues, or friends. To break the pattern, one must transform the frequency within, for the field cannot attract what it does not carry. Think of it as tuning an instrument before joining an orchestra. If your string is sharp or flat, the entire ensemble sounds dissonant. When tuned correctly, harmony flows. In the same way, your vibration tunes you for certain circles of people. When aligned, you find yourself meeting those who support, uplift, and expand you. When misaligned, you may continually meet those who drain or diminish. The choice of vibration is the choice of company. Yet resonance does not mean sameness. The magnet may draw people of different skills, backgrounds, or temperaments, yet all will share a common frequency, a shared value, vision, or emotional tone. Diversity in detail, unity in vibration. This is why some friendships feel effortless despite differences, while others strain despite similarities. The hidden factor is not surface compatibility, but inner resonance. And so, relationships become mirrors, reflecting the vibration you carry. They reveal both your harmony and your dissonance. To meet someone kind is to recognize your own kindness returned. To meet someone harsh may reveal an inner frequency of fear or judgment still unresolved. This mirror is not punishment, it is guidance. It shows where the magnet is pointing and offers the chance to retune. The beauty of this truth is that as you elevate your inner vibration, your circle naturally transforms. You need not chase people or force alliances. They appear by law, as filings drawn to a magnet. The higher the tone you sustain, the more aligned and supportive the relationships become. This is not manipulation, but resonance, the simple pull of like to like. And here lies a deeper realization. If people are drawn by your vibration, then events themselves are too. Just as relationships arrange themselves around your inner field, so do opportunities, challenges, and circumstances. The magnet is not confined to human connection. It extends into the unfolding of daily life. What you attract in moments, meetings, and accidents of timing is shaped by the same law. What if timing isn't random at all, but the echo of the tone you carry? A message arrives the moment you decide, The elevator door holds for an extra second. The last seat opens just as you step forward. These small hinges of the day feel trivial until you notice their pattern. The inner climate precedes the outer weather. When the field is clear, the hours seem to cooperate. When the field is agitated, frictions multiply. Daily life is the stage where the magnet proves itself, not in grand proclamations, but in the choreography of errands, meetings, and turns you could easily miss. A steady vibration doesn't make everything effortless. It makes the path legible. Directions appear sooner. Detours feel purposeful rather than punishing. Even when plans shift, the shift reveals an unseen alignment, like a river that bends yet keeps its direction. There is a texture to aligned days. Conversations find their point quickly. Traffic lights favor your stride. A detail you need comes into view without hunting. None of it is dramatic, yet together it forms a rhythm, an underlying yes that hums beneath the noise. This rhythm is the signature of coherence, thought, belief, and emotion, agreeing long enough for the field to settle and guide events into place. Consider how tone influences choice before choice becomes obvious. When the inner note tilts toward frustration, the hand reaches for shortcuts that create more friction. When the note is calm, patience selects a better route without performative restraint. The magnet doesn't yank decisions, it leans them. 1,000 micro-leans add up to a day that just works, not because luck woke early, but because attention kept its shape. Notice the pattern with opportunity. It rarely announces itself with trumpets. It arrives as a small invitation that requires presence to recognize, a name mentioned casually, a question that asks for courage, a task no one wants that quietly holds leverage. A disordered field overlooks these threads or dismisses them as noise. A tuned field feels their weight and follows. The magnet draws not only events, but discernment, the ability to sense which moment is alive. Skepticism asks, isn't this confirmation bias? It is wise to ask, yet watch carefully over weeks, not hours. A coherent inner state correlates with cleaner execution, fewer self-generated obstacles, more constructive responses from others, and a pattern of timely coincidences that repeats beyond chance. The point is not to argue metaphysics, it is to cultivate conditions under which effectiveness compounds. Whether one calls it resonance or readiness, the results speak through continuity. There is also a cadence to setbacks when the vibration is steady. Delays still occur, plans still change, but they do not corrode resolve. The setback becomes instruction rather than indictment, a redirection that preserves momentum. Incoherence makes the same delay feel like doom. Coherence allows the day to breathe and continue. This difference is not cosmetic. It is magnetic. The field holds form, and reality has something stable to lean against. Think of the room you carry around you, the few feet of atmosphere that others step into when they approach. That room is either cluttered with unfinished inner dialogue or spacious enough for clarity to move. Colleagues sense it. Strangers sense it. Even bureaucracy seems to sense it. Forms process. Clerks engage. The line moves. None of this is mystical escape from the world's complexity. It is the cumulative effect of a person whose presence reduces friction. Systems cooperate with coherence. How, then, does one bring this coherence into a Tuesday afternoon when deadlines stack and attention frays? Not by forcing a smile over agitation, but by resetting the bass note. A single deep breath that is actually noticed. A brief recall of the larger intent behind the task. A quiet gratitude for the chance to contribute rather than prove. These simple pivots recenter the magnet. They do not solve everything, yet they restore the field's integrity, and the next decision benefits. Language matters here. Words are tiny steering wheels. I have to tightens the field. I get to loosens it. This always goes wrong. teaches the magnet to expect friction. This is finding its form, trains it to stay the course. The point is not to decorate problems with pretty phrases. It is to speak from the frequency you aim to strengthen and let the physiology of that language settle the body. The calmer the body, the cleaner the signal. Environment participates as well. Light, sound, pace. These elements are not mere aesthetics, but instruments. A desk cleared before beginning is an invitation to coherence. A walk between tasks resets the metronome. Even the way a message is typed, hurried, or deliberate carries vibration into the world. When the physical setting honors the inner frequency, the day stops fighting itself. The magnet is not carrying the world alone. The world is cooperating. Still, randomness exists. Weather changes. People disappoint. Systems fail. The magnet does not grant exemption from reality. It grants orientation within it. When reality jostles, orientation decides whether the next move compounds chaos or restores direction. You have seen a team spiral because one frustration infected the whole meeting. You have also seen a steady voice recenter the room in 30 seconds. That steadiness is not talent alone. It is a trained field, practiced in small moments until it holds under pressure. Over time, aligned days stitch into aligned seasons. You look back and notice that the right teachers appeared, the right doors opened, the right detours taught what you needed before the next ascent. The arc is intelligible. It was not a straight line, but it was a true one. And if that recognition brings humility, it also brings responsibility. The magnet was not an accident. It was maintained. Yet a question remains, the one that knocks on the door when nights are honest. What about stubborn repetitions? The missed chance that keeps returning in new clothes, the conflict that rewrites itself with different names, the opportunity that slips at the same stage each time. If daily magnetism shapes circumstance, why do certain patterns cling? The answer asks for courage because it lives at the junction of vibration and history. To change the cycle, one must meet its hidden source and retune the field at the point where it was first bent. A groove can hold a melody or a rut. Once a record is scored too deeply, the needle returns to the same circle, no matter where you set it down. Negative cycles behave like that, familiar, predictable, and oddly persuasive. They promise certainty, if not satisfaction, and the mind, craving what it knows, lets the needle fall where it always has. The day plays the same refrain. Different names, same scene. Different street, same corner. The first break in the cycle is not force, it is sight. You begin to notice the telltale shimmer before the loop closes, a tightening in the chest, a sentence you have said 100 times, a hurried grasp at control that never helps. Recognition is liberation's opening chord. When a pattern is seen clearly, it loosens its claim, not because it disappears, but because you are no longer inside it without knowing. The moment you witness the script as script, you are already standing one step outside its stage directions. What holds the loop together is old emotion pretending to be current truth. A missed chance years ago still charges today's decision. A voice from childhood still edits your confidence mid-sentence. A loss you never let wash through, you still colors the edges of hope. The body, loyal archivist, keeps these impressions vivid. When a present moment resembles an old scene, the archive opens and floods the field. Attraction follows the stronger current, and the stronger current is whatever is most emotionally rehearsed. This is why the same outcome keeps finding you. It is rehearsed, not desired. Breaking the cycle begins where it began in sensation. That moment the breath shortens, the jaw sets, the shoulders rise. Stay there. Not to wallow, but to let the wave complete its arc. When the body is allowed to finish what it started years ago, emotion passes through rather than setting another groove. You may feel heat climb, tears visit without story, A shiver release. Let it move. This is not dramatics, it is housekeeping. The field clears as the body empties what it has carried. Language can be a trap or a key. This always happens to me, chisels the groove deeper. I'm catching the old song early, widens the track just enough for a new turn. Subtle, but powerful. Words cue physiology. Physiology tunes vibration. Vibration selects events. Speak from the frequency you are building, not the fear you're leaving. Soft honesty beats bravado. I'm learning a steadier rhythm is truer and stronger than nothing ever bothers me. The former invites practice, the latter invites collapse. Cycles survive on speed. They rush you past the only doorway you need, the pause. A 10-second stillness can be a revolution when taken in the very place the loop usually accelerates. The email you always send too quickly, draft it, breathe, return. The meeting where your voice spikes, name your point, then let silence work. The purchase, the reply, the late-night scroll. Each has a hinge where momentum can be redirected without drama. A pause is not surrender. It is choosing the conductor's stand over the drumline's urgency. There is another fidelity that breaks repetition, keeping a small promise you would usually abandon. Show up for the quiet practice that has no audience. Walk when the mind bargains for the couch. Finish the call with courtesy instead of the satisfying sting. These choices may look small, but cycles are braided from smallness, the tiny concessions that teach the magnet to expect less of itself. Reverse them, and the field learns a new normal. Confidence is not lightning, it is accrued interest. Forgiveness enters here, not as a banner, but as sanitation. Resentment is adhesive. It glues the past to the present and makes matching outcomes feel inevitable. To release resentment is not to excuse harm. It is to stop paying rent on the room the harm still occupies in you. When the charge fades, attraction changes. The people who found a home in your unhealed anger no longer recognize the address. The opportunities you could not hold because bitterness shook the hand now linger, wondering if the field has steadied. Environment can be a conspirator in repetition or an ally in renewal. The desk that signals dread, the route that crosses the same triggering storefront, the playlist that primes the same mood, each is a cue. Alter a cue, and you alter the cascade. Change light, change pace, change where you sit to write the message that matters. None of this is cosmetic. The magnet draws from what surrounds it. Tending surroundings is tending signal to noise. Ambition often tries to shatter cycles with extremes, all-or-nothing vows, sweeping declarations, grand reveals. But a loop is not broken by spectacle. It is broken by coherence held long enough for the world to notice. The first week feels fragile, the second, less so. In the third, someone treats you according to the new tone before you have said a word. That is the sign. The field is updating beyond intention into presence. The days start agreeing with your practice. You may wonder why certain loops resist even this steady work. Some grooves were carved in a season when survival required them. The pattern kept you safe, hidden, approved. Thank it. Gratitude disarms defensiveness and lets the subconscious retire old guardians without a fight. Then, offer the mind a replacement that serves you now. If conflict was once the way to be seen, let contribution become the way. If self-sabotage used to preempt rejection, let clear boundaries prevent the entanglements that used to end in the same pain. Replace, don't just remove. Nature fills vacuums, so does the psyche. There is a moment, often quiet, when you sense the loop losing its authority. The familiar bait appears, and the body does not lunge. You feel space where there used to be compulsion. Choice enters, unhurried. You steer into a small, ordinary kindness, and something in the day answers with relief, as if the world had been waiting for you to exit the circle. This is not a miracle. It is alignment finally audible, to your own ears, and it is enough. From here, attraction shifts in ways that appear subtle at first. The colleague who usually needles you arrives softer. The opportunity that once slipped when pressure rose now holds as you breathe through the same moment with a different posture. Calls return. Doors that once opened to the old drama stop answering, and though part of you misses the intensity, a larger part recognizes peace as power, not boredom. You are changing lanes without swerving. Breaking negative cycles is not about becoming someone else. It is about removing the interference so that your truer signal can travel. What you wanted was not foolish. It was simply out of reach while the magnet was tuned to yesterday. Now as the field clears, life can hear you more clearly, and you can hear life its quiet offers, its timely, not yet, its surprising, this way, which invites the next movement, the natural sequel to release, living as a conscious magnet, not merely avoiding the old loops but sustaining a presence that draws what matches the person you are becoming, not by chase, by steadiness, by the daily art of holding your frequency with enough grace that the world can organize itself around it. To live as a conscious magnet is to carry your field as a quiet responsibility. It is not a trick, a pose, or a performance. It is the ongoing art of coherence. Thought kept honest, belief kept clean, emotion kept responsive, the subconscious kept aligned, and faith kept steady long enough for a life to take its truest shape. The mark of this state is not spectacle, but steadiness. You are not chasing brightness. You are becoming a source. This way of living begins in small, repeatable choices. Before the day unfolds, you tune the note. A minute of stillness to remember what matters. A sentence spoken inwardly that restores orientation. A breath that widens the room within your chest. These gestures seem humble, yet they define the current. When the current is set, decisions arrange themselves more simply. You do not require constant self-argument. You know the tone you are keeping, and you act as its custodian. Custodianship changes the way you meet pressure. Urgency will still knock. Deadlines will still crowd your calendar. The unexpected will still arrive uninvited. But the field you carry prevents panic from commandeering the day. Calm does not mean slow. It means precise. You move at the speed that clarity allows. You say yes from conviction and no without apology. Boundaries are not walls here. They are banks for a river, giving your energy a channel rather than letting it flood and evaporate. Living as a conscious magnet also refines the way you give. You are no longer trading kindness for approval or contribution for permission to belong. You give because giving is native to a coherent field. It strengthens you, even as it serves others. The paradox is that when you no longer grasp for validation, the world often answers with trust. People feel safe near steadiness. Opportunities prefer hands that do not shake. This stance deepens your relationship to desire. You continue to want richly, but you are not impoverished by wanting. Desire becomes a compass, not a verdict. You can hold a vision without contracting around it. You can take clear action without confusing it for control. You can welcome outcomes without binding your peace to their timing. Non-attachment here is not indifference. It is intimacy without possession, intention without strain. The magnet holds, the world answers. You remain whole either way. In this state, attention becomes a kind of hospitality. You host each moment as it arrives, offering it the best of your presence. Even difficulty receives a seat at the table, not to be indulged but to be understood. When a challenge is understood, it becomes workable. When it is workable, it becomes fuel. The field does not waste fuel. Integrity anchors the rest. You speak what you mean and keep what you promise, especially when no one is watching. This consistency is not moral theater. It is energetic hygiene. Every kept promise tightens the weave of your field. Every broken promise frays it. Over time, the difference is visible in the way rooms quiet when you enter. in the way people bring their better selves to meet you, in the way projects gather coherence simply because you're willing to be coherent. There is humility in this, and relief. You are not responsible for controlling outcomes you do not own. You are responsible for the signal you broadcast and the actions that flow from it. That responsibility is more than enough. It turns effort into craft. It transforms repetition into ritual. It makes even the ordinary luminous because the ordinary becomes intentional. As seasons turn, the arc of your days starts to look like a conversation between your inner tone and the life that responds. You notice that you ask better questions, and better answers find you. You notice that your presence edits rooms, softening what is harsh, concentrating what is vague, steadying what is scattered. You notice that you recover faster, laugh more easily, and pursue what matters with fewer detours. You have not escaped reality, you have befriended it. And then, almost without announcement, you realize that attraction is no longer the subject of your attention. It is simply the weather around you, helpful, cooperative, quietly generous. Your task has shifted from acquiring to aligning, from proving to expressing. You live as a conscious magnet not to impress others, but to honor the life you are entrusted to carry. The filings move, the river runs, the day agrees. We arrive here together, not at an ending, but at a practice that continues. Tonight the field will rest and reset. Tomorrow you will choose your note again. Keep it honest, keep it warm, keep it steady. Let the world respond in its time, and let your steadiness be the story it learns by heart. There are concrete ways this presence inhabits the body. Posture becomes a declaration, not rigid, not collapsed, but easy and awake. Breath deepens and widens your perception, so that options appear where tension once saw only a corner. Voice slows just enough for meaning to land, and because you are not racing yourself, others stop racing too. Pace becomes your signature. You move like someone who trusts their direction. Attention hygiene matters as much as physical care. What you read, what you watch, the conversations you entertain. Each leaves a residue in the field. Cure it without becoming narrow. Choose inputs that sharpen compassion and clarity. Limit what frays your sense of possibility. This is not asceticism, it is stewardship. The magnet is too valuable to hand over to noise. Creativity thrives under this stewardship. When your field is coherent, ideas arrive on time. Connections reveal themselves between domains that used to live in separate rooms. You find yourself making in the margins notes after a meeting, a phrase caught on a walk, a sketch that clarifies a choice. Creation is not an event here. It is a byproduct of alignment. And making something small every day keeps the magnet honest, because creation requires presence more than perfection. Listening rounds out the practice. You listen to people until they feel heard, which is different than being convinced. You listen to places, the subtle cues in a team, the culture of a room, the limits of a system. You listen to your own fatigue and your own joy. Fatigue says, "Tend me," and joy says, "Use me." Either way, the field learns trust. You will not push it until it snaps, and you will not starve it when it hungers for challenge. Finally, gratitude becomes less a mood and more a method. You notice the ordinary mercies that scaffold your day, the pen that works, the friend who texts, the door that opens, the lesson that arrives disguised as delay. Gratitude is stabilizing. It returns you to sufficiency, and sufficiency dissolves desperation. From sufficiency, attraction is clean. Let the day loosen its grip. The work is done for now. There is nothing to chase, nothing to fix, only the gentle task of returning to your own field. Lay the shoulders down, unclench the jaw. Place one hand on the chest and feel the slow lift of breath, the easy fall. This is your first home. As the breath steadies, remember one moment from today that hinted at alignment, a conversation that flowed, a choice made without noise, a small kindness you offered or received. Hold that moment lightly. Let it glow for a few breaths. You are teaching the body what to keep. Now let the mind grow spacious. Thoughts may wander past like evening walkers on a quiet street. You do not follow, you simply wave. The street is safe, the walkers pass, all's well. If a worry returns, thank it for trying to protect you and set it on the curb for tomorrow. The night knows what to do with unfinished stories. Feel the bed support you. Feel the air move through the room. Somewhere, a sound repeats an appliance, a distant car, a branch at the window. Let that rhythm be the metronome that drops you deeper. With each exhale, let the field reset, particles settling into a kinder order. Say softly within yourself, I am steady. I am guided. I am enough for this day. No performance, only presence. No striving, only the honest signal of a life in tune. If faith has a sound, let it be warm, like a lamp left on in a welcoming house. When sleep comes, let it come like tide, unforced and complete. The magnet rests even as it keeps its nature. By morning, coherence will be easier. For now, be carried. You are safe. You are home.